Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Friday, April 10th, 2020. And we begin with a pretty radical recommendation from the nation's go-to guy on infectious diseases. Dr. Anthony Fauci says that when life returns to normal, one thing that shouldn't make a comeback ever is the handshake. In 2 interviews this week, the doctor said that the custom transmits coronavirus, the seasonal flu, and all types of respiratory illnesses. Basically, he says it needs to go away for good. And if it does, and we continue to social distance, Dr. Fauci says he's fairly confident we'll turn the corner on the coronavirus by this summer, which just so happens to be when his new bobblehead will ship. Sales of it have already raised $100,000 for masks for healthcare workers. Bernie Sanders may have bowed out of the presidential race, but he's apparently not yet ready to release his delegates or endorse Joe Biden. The two camps have reportedly been talking for weeks about if and when Senator Sanders should make his exit. Now that he's out, but before he formally supports Mr. Biden, the senator wants to make sure the likely nominee and Democratic Party adopt his favorite issues. Some of Bernie's supporters are not convinced that will happen, and yesterday vowed to continue his campaign even without the candidate. It's a sports desert on TV, but come Sunday, there will actually be a competition to watch. Current and former NBA players will challenge each other to a game of horse from their respective, socially isolated home courts. As with any version of horse, players must describe each shot attempt before they take it. If they get their shot wrong or miss it, they get a letter, and the first player to spell out horse is eliminated. The competition will air live on ESPN starting at 7 in the evening Eastern Time. The event sponsor will reportedly donate more than $200,000 to charities focused on coronavirus response efforts. 3 astronauts left our lockdown behind and blasted off yesterday to the International Space Station. NASA's Chris Cassidy and 2 Russian colleagues launched skyward from the Asian nation of Kazakhstan. It took 6 hours from liftoff to docking, 220 miles above Earth. The trio will take command from 3 colleagues who've been in orbit for at least 6 months and are due to return to Earth next week. Extra health precautions were taken to protect the new crew before launch and will be taken to protect the old crew on return. NASA has a long history of quarantining astronauts before and after they go to space to prevent illnesses being dragged back and forth. Because all involved had a clean bill of health, each of the new astronauts was able to give each of the old astronauts a big hug on arrival. No social distancing required. In business news, some backlash to companies adjusting their logos on social media to reflect social distancing. The most notable, McDonald's separating its arches, Audi spacing its 4 circles, and Coca-Cola unlooping its letters. While some in the advertising world say it's a nice nod to our current situation, others say it would be better for everyone if the companies stop messing with their logos and follow the lead of Gap, which is cranking out supplies for healthcare workers, and LVMH, which is a huge makeup company that is instead manufacturing hand sanitizer. Stressed out from our stay-at-home situation? Do some baking. Scientists say it's a sure cure for being cooped up. Why? Because while cooking is an art, baking is largely science. Ingredients need to combine and mix in a very specific way, like chemistry. Getting it right requires focus, which also means we aren't thinking about things outside our control. Apparently, the best baked good to shake shelter-in-place stress? Bread. But we're pretty sure cookies work too. Need more proof? #stressbaking is trending online. That's it for KidNuz. Now our KidNuz quiz. Dr. Fauci wants to get rid of what? The handshake, which spreads germs. Why is Bernie Sanders holding off on endorsing Joe Biden? He wants the likely nominee to adopt some of his ideas. How many miles above Earth is the International Space Station? 220. What sports event is airing on Sunday? A game of horse between current and former NBA players. In One for the Road, Shelby Delaney summoned her inner warrior, and he answered the call. The California nurse, who always wears one of her 10 Steph Curry jerseys under her scrubs for inspiration, got the surprise of her life when the NBA great FaceTimed her at work. Somehow he got wind of one of Shelby's posts, which showed her wearing his number while on the front lines of the current health crisis. Curry thanked her and her entire team for their sacrifice and selflessness, and she was able to thank him for spreading joy and boosting morale. Before we go, we'd like to give KidNuz birthday shout-outs to our fans in Massachusetts, Lenny from Newton and Madison from Sudbury, in Florida, Phoebe from Lakewood Ranch and Tessa from Fort Myers, in Maryland, Isaac from Rockville and Madeline from Ellicott City. Also, Ella in Dallas, Texas, Carrie and Cameron in Manhattan Beach, California, Reese in Golden Valley, Minnesota, Kristen in New Fairfield, Connecticut, Sienna in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Jake and Caleb in Gahanna, Ohio. And our teacher salutes go to Mrs. Shepard's class at Holy Cross in Santa Cruz, California, and Miss Goodrich's students at Asa Messer Elementary in Providence, Rhode Island. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. Don't forget to take our Week in Review quiz at kidnuz.org, and we'll see you back here for more Kid News Monday morning.